Hi and welcome to Last Watch. It's only been a few months since I started the channel, but today will mark my 10th video on the subject of watches. I thought it might be a good idea to use this video to bring you up to date on the state of the watch collection and also to discuss the future, where I see myself going from here. I would like to emphasize yet again that I'm not a watch expert, by no means, nowhere near. It's only recently that I've got into watches, and after spending many hours scouring the internet and searching YouTube, I began to realise that most of the channels out there are based in the States and in the Southern Hemisphere. There isn't actually anyone that I've yet to find doing videos within the UK to a British audience, so I thought it might be an idea to start a channel and share with you my experiences and my watches, and hopefully get advice from guys in a similar situation to me. So up until a few months ago, pretty much the only watch I had in my collection was this Accurist MB761N. It's a chronograph watch, and it was given to me by a very dear friend for a birthday present. It was given to me more than 10 years ago, and I'll be honest with you, it has spent most of those 10 years in the bottom of a drawer. It's only fairly recently that I've dug it out and actually put a battery into it. I've done some digging online and found very little information on this. It's an inexpensive watch. It has a 100-meter water resistance. It is a chronograph. If you notice, the second hand that you can use as the timer is off by a second, so build quality wise it's not fantastic. There's a good chance that this watch will never get any wrist time, but it will stay in the collection. It was a gift. I probably couldn't give it away. There's no real value to it. It is purely sentimental. My next watch, and probably really my first proper watch, this is the watch that started off the collection. It's a Citizen's Quartz diver from the Promaster range, reference BN0150-28E. It's a fully certified diver's watch. It is more than capable of going to a depth of 200 meters. Not that it ever will on my wrist. I'm not a diver. I just happen to be taken with dive watches. They are beautiful watches. So much detail, well built, robust. The loom on the Citizen is probably the best out of all the watches that I have currently in my collection. So this watch was bought for me in November of last year by my wife as a birthday present. Again, it's not a watch that I will ever give away or flip. It will forever stay in the collection. It is a quartz watch. It's a solar powered quartz watch from the EcoDrive range. It will never ever need a battery, or at least that's how they publicise them. But in all honesty, apart from the Accurist, none of the other watches that I have will ever need a battery. That because apart from this one being solar powered, the other ones are all mechanical watches. Being a quartz watch, it is accurate. If anything, I'm maybe losing 1 second a month on this watch. This watch does get the majority of my wrist time because I wear it for work. It's a good beta watch, but I tend to wear it very carefully. I will inevitably have to buy another watch to use as a beta because, as this was a present from my wife, I wouldn't want to damage it, I certainly wouldn't want to break it, and I wouldn't want to lose it. The next watch in the collection is the Steinhardt OVM Ocean Vintage Military 1. This is the 39mm variation. It is also the first mechanical watch that I've ever bought or owned. It's an absolute beauty of a watch. Quality and workmanship on this watch is outstanding. I may very well at some point in the future find something that beats this hands down, but for the money, bang for buck, this is an excellent watch. I love the simplicity of its dial. I should point out that it is quite a heavy homage to a Rolex watch. I'm not in the market for a Rolex watch just yet, but this is giving me everything that I need at a fraction of the price. It has a beautiful clean dial. It has an ETA 2824-2 movement. It is phenomenally accurate. I'm getting plus 1 second per day. I should probably admit that this is by far my favourite watch. It wears lovely on my wrist and it's a perfect fit. 39mm coming in on my 7-inch wrist. I thought it would have been too small for me after wearing a 44, but it is an absolutely gorgeous watch. Perfect fit, beautiful finish, absolute quality. I am aware that certain owners of this watch have complained about sticky bezels. I don't have any issues with the bezel on this watch, and it aligns perfectly. If I was being really picky about this watch and had to come up with something to complain about, the only thing I can think of is the crown. The crown's a little bit smaller than I would like, but I don't have any issues grabbing it or winding this watch. All in, an absolutely beautiful watch. If you are looking for a quality built watch and very accurate, I would very much recommend the Steinhardt. Moving on to my next watch, this is the Glycine Combat Sub GL0087. I purchased this through Mastrop in the States and had it shipped out to me. I've done a video on that whole purchasing procedure. It's something that you should possibly look at. Now, I love this watch. I should add that this watch comes in a couple of dozen different variations. So depending on your taste, you will pretty much always be guaranteed to find a combat sub that suits your tastes. There is a version of this watch which is called the Golden Eye, which has a very Tudorish type look to it. Again, this is a very well built watch from a decent manufacturer. Glycine have been around for more than 100 years. They were recently, 4 years ago, bought out by the Invicta Group. I don't think that's affected the quality in any way. The quality and the build of this watch is very good. Like the Steinhardt, it also has the ETA 2824-2 movement. I don't think it's as accurate as the Steinhardt. I'm getting +4 seconds per day. And I also don't think it's as refined as the Steinhardt. The movement in this watch is a little bit noisier. Saying that though, it is still a gorgeous looking watch. I particularly like the fact that it bears an uncanny resemblance to a grail watch of mine, which would be the Sin 104. Something possibly that I might be lucky enough to acquire in the future. One of the benefits of this watch is the fact that it is ultra slim. I think it's the slimmest out of all the watches I have, although on this NATO strap that does bring the thickness back up. There is a little bit of movement, just up and down movement there on the bezel, but it is rock solid. Negatives about this watch, well, the markers are quite small. The lume therefore isn't the best on those markers, but it is still fairly bright on the handset in the second hand and also the lume pip. So therefore telling the time at night in the dark or possibly underwater, if you go that far, shouldn't be an issue. A benefit of this watch of the Steinhardt would be that it has a bigger crown, much easier to get a grip of. There's also quite a substantial screw on that crown to get it out of the watch. So although I said that this watch may not be as refined as the Steinhardt, it's actually very solid and well built. And this is the latest addition to my collection. This is the Seiko Saab 065, the original Cool Cocktail Time. It's been discontinued for just over a year, but it is still available if you shop around, if you know where to look. I got this from an eBay seller who has a shop based in Ireland. It is my first Seiko and also my first dress watch. It has an in-house movement, the Seiko 6R15C. It's a bit of a workhorse movement. It can be compared somewhat to the ETA 2824. It is by no means as accurate. This watch is giving me about +7 seconds per day. But for a dress watch, which I will only wear occasionally, that shouldn't really be an issue. Obviously the standout of this watch, which everyone talks about, is the starburst white dial. And that is complemented very nicely by the needle-like blue second hand. This is by far the prettiest watch in my collection. The first thing that strikes you when you pick this watch up is that it feels quite fragile, especially compared to a diver's watch, but it's extremely well made. I think it's probably a lot tougher than I would give it credit for. I bought this watch specifically for a task in mind. It will be worn by myself at my daughter's wedding in a few months' time. I can't really think of any negatives about this watch. If I was being really picky, I would say it would be nice if it was slightly smaller. I mean, this is coming in just over 40mm. The Steinhardt is 39mm. If this watch was a 38 or a 39mm watch, I think it would be pretty much perfect. It's also quite a thick watch, coming in at 13mm. It would be nice if it was somewhat thinner. Part of the reason for that is the boxed home crystal that sits on top. But again, it's that boxed home crystal that gives this watch so much character. Well, there we have it, the last watch collection, or at least the last watch collection so far. I do have one more empty space in my watch box. If you guys have any ideas and thoughts about what I should possibly fill that space with, then by all means, drop me a line, drop me a comment. There are a load of watches out there that I'm currently looking at. Personally, I think I may be tempted by a chronograph or maybe a compressor watch. I should add that when I started the channel, I gave myself a budget of around about the £400 mark. All the watches that you've seen today individually have come well under that or around about that price margin. I guess at some point my budget may increase, and obviously with that budget I'm then starting to get into a whole new level of watches. But for now I'm going to try and stick to my guns and stick to the budget and give you guys quality watches at a reasonable price. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's roundup of my collection. I'll do my best to keep the videos coming. Please keep watching, please keep liking, and please keep subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next video.